All right, so some big DC movie shakeup news happening. James Gunn was hired for the next 4 years to be the co-CEO of DC Studios, and his tenure has already begun. We are heading into the James Gunn era. Big news has already been happening. Wonder Woman 3 is not happening. The treatment Patty Jenkins gave to Warner Brothers was rejected. So, I mean, it doesn't mean there's not going to be another Wonder Woman movie. It just means that her treatment was rejected. And she can make another one and, give it to them and, see where they go from there. But since the disappointing results from Wonder Woman 84 happened, they're probably going to go a different direction with Wonder Woman now. And a lot of people are saying just do a hard reboot right now, and that's probably not the best idea, but you might as well. You already rebooted Batman with Robert Pattinson, so at this point, I don't think there's anything else they could really do. They tried the soft reboot thing, and it just made it more confusing, and it's just no cohesion with the universe, so you might as well just hard reboot. And you already rebooted Batman with Robert Pattinson, and that came out really good. So why not do the same with Superman? Recast, reboot, start with like a Brainiac film first. Do the same for Wonder Woman. Actually get a really good actress to be Wonder Woman. There's so many directions they can go. You could actually reuse, Aquaman, Jason Momoa. You could use him as Lobo. There's so many directions they can go. But yeah, the James Gunn era has begun. We don't know what exactly they're going to do. I think they have some plans, but all those plans probably hinge on what Aquaman 2 and what The Flash does next year. And I think Shazam's going to be fine. But I've definitely, if The Flash is like a huge bomb, you're definitely getting a hard reboot. If it's a huge success, then, that kind of makes things even more confusing of what they're going to do. Like what direction do they go if The Flash is a big success? Same thing with Aquaman 2. I don't think Aquaman 2 is going to perform as well as the first Aquaman. Just doesn't feel like it. It's not going to hit that $1 billion mark, most likely. And it might be Jason Momoa's last film as Aquaman. So depending on what these movies do next year, that's going to decide the new course going forward. And I'm sure James Gunn has a bunch of big ideas of what he wants to do with the universe. I'm a little wary of it because James Gunn has proven himself to be very good with, lesser known characters like Guardians of the Galaxy and, Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, these lesser known characters that a lot of people don't really care about. James Gunn seems to be really good with them, But how's he going to be like with the whole Justice League and the most iconic heroes? He realizes that you can't just do the same thing you did with these lesser known characters. You have to stay true to who these iconic characters really are. Superman shouldn't be inappropriate. He really should be a family-friendly type of character. Batman should be more darker, like Robert Pattinson, which, it fits perfectly. And Wonder Woman's your iconic feminist hero. Like, that's who she is. That's who she's always been. They should probably lean back into that again. But yeah, exciting times for DC. The Hamada era is pretty much over. You got the last couple Hamada movies, Shazam, Flash, and Aquaman. Those are still the movies Walter Hamada was, responsible for and stuff. And we'll see how they come out. After Black Adam has lost some money here at the box office, which, it doesn't really matter. They say it's going to lose 50 to 100 million at the box office, which is not a huge deal, especially when you consider video on demand and streaming and stuff like that. Physical sales, it's probably going to make its money back within a year. But still, these companies are not going for breaking even. They're going for making huge profits. That's what they're in it for. They don't care about story or characters. They literally only greenlit Black Adam because Dwayne The Rock Johnson was in it. It's not because anybody likes Black Adam. It's just because they had a huge star attached to it. That's the only reason that film got made. I would say Dr. Fate was a more popular character amongst comic readers than Black Adam. Hence why they put him in the Black Adam movie. They were trying to put as many recognizable characters in that movie as they could because nobody really cares about Black Adam. So that movie was always an uphill climb. They were just hoping the star power of Dwayne The Rock Johnson would get that over 600 million easy, but it didn't happen. So it's probably going to make the transition to James Gunn even easier. It's going to give James Gunn more leeway to actually try to make a universe here. He has 4 years to do it. 4 years to make something consistent and cohesive out of these characters. I would love to see it. But yeah, it probably makes sense to reboot everything, recast everybody. You already did it with Batman, and it worked out great. I would go ahead and do it with Superman and Wonder Woman and all of them. and put them in the Robert Pattinson universe, you might as well. And when I mean, put them in the Robert Pattinson universe, I don't mean make them show up in the Batman movies. I mean, like, Robert Pattinson might show up in a Justice League movie. Like, that's what I mean. I don't mean, like, we don't need these characters to be taking the spotlight away from Batman in his own movie. You know what I'm saying? That doesn't need to happen. These characters can't have their own movies and then, meet up in some Justice League event, which was going to be Crisis on Infinite Earths type thing. That's what Hamada was going for. And I imagine James Gunn is also going to try to go for that too. I can't imagine he's going to change it up that much because that storyline makes the most sense with all these DC movies we have. Because then you could just play it off as, oh, all these movies are in their own universes type thing. Because you can only like reboot so many times. I mean, you came out with Green Lantern in 2011. That was supposed to be your starting point. It failed. You had to do a hard reboot with Man of Steel. And it was just good enough to get some sequels. And, that universe fell apart. You did a soft reboot with it, tried to keep it going. And it didn't really work. Didn't really capture the audience. So now we're back at doing a hard reboot again. And this is just going to be the cycle until these movies start hitting big. And honestly, they probably only got like 4 or 5 years to try to make a movie hit big because the MCU is dwindling. And so that means superheroes in general are dwindling. Like this genre isn't going to last forever. It's going to end up like the Westerns. There was this big time period in cinema where Westerns were like the only thing being made. And then they fizzled out. And now you get probably like one Western, every now and then that's good. That's what superhero movies are going to become. So, you want to try to recapture this audience while it's still here. And right now, DC has no mind share with the audience. The audiences think DC movies are bad. And Black Adam kind of proved that again. Birds of Prey proved that. And it really goes back to like Batman versus Superman. If that movie was a smash hit and everybody loved it, we wouldn't be talking like this today. DC would be much farther along. There'd be tons of more DC movies. It'd be a huge hit if that one movie was a smash hit. So, really goes to show the mistakes that were made early on had a huge rippling effect with the audience. Now we're going to hard reboot again with James Gunn. I believe in Gunn. I think he's going to make a couple good movies, but we won't see what he's made until after Aquaman, after The Flash, after those movies come out. Then we'll see what the deal is, So, it's a wait and see right now. If Aquaman and Flash are like great and the audiences love them and they overperform, then we're not going to really get a hard reboot. That's not going to happen. If they underperform or they are not liked, then yeah, you're going to get a hard reboot and everyone's going to get recast. So, it really comes down to next year. 2023 is going to be a big year for DC. It's going to decide the fate of DC movies for the next 5 years after that. So, we'll see. It is hard being a DC fan. You can't get anything going. The audiences and fans are always split on everything. So, we can't get anything started. Can't get anything going. The second something good comes, people will shit on it. And, that's just the cycle us DC fans got to deal with DC on films. It sucks, but that's what it is. Anyway, comment below. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you all on the next one. Bye-bye.
We are screwed.
Hey, I don't want to hear that defeatist attitude. I want to hear you upbeat.
We're screwed.
There you go.